Do you love this podcast? Do you wish you could learn even more? Well, we have an online class bundle. Our online class bundle is comprised of 3 online classes: beautifying your home for less, styling your home, and the fundamentals of feng shui. Each one of those 3 classes is between 30 and 45 minutes long and chock filled with visuals and tips, things that will help you to style your own space or help out with other spaces. Additionally, with the pack of 3 classes, you get an autographed copy of my book, Affordable Interior Design. You get all of that for only $99. Once again, that's the 3 online classes as well as the book for only $99. You just go to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to buy your bundle today. And if one of those classes sounded intriguing, but maybe you already have my book or some of the other topics are not of interest, you can buy the classes individually at that site as well. Each class is $40. So head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to get your bundle or your online class today.
You don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Have I told you lately how much I love my premium members? Not only do their monthly annual contributions keep this show on the air, but I love to prioritize their questions and give them extra time and attention and consideration because of all the loyalty and love they have shown us. Are you wondering, Betsy, how do I become a premium member? All you have to do is go over to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. There, you're going to see a little button that says Become a Premium Member. For as little as $5.99 a month or $29.99 for an entire year, not only will you help to support this podcast, show me the love, but also you'll get access to an archive of many, 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 many bonus episodes. So if you've gone through all of our regular episodes and are looking for even more tasty content, my design diaries, a peek into what I'm thinking, a peek into my recent travels and what I discovered in terms of design on those adventures, well, then you will want to become a premium member to unlock all of those episodes. Head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast to become a premium member today. I thank you very much. One premium member I would love to thank with her very own episode is Lindsay. Lindsay is a premium member who lives in Connecticut. I'd love for you to put where, Lindsay, what city, because I too am in Connecticut. Not only would it help me to understand your question because I could have a very specific geographical frame of reference, but also I would just like to know where you're from out of curiosity, just pure curiosity. Anyway, I want to devote this question and this episode to you. I want to take a deep dive and go into some of the nuances and just give you some of the extra love that I've been feeling coming from you thanks to your premium membership. Let me start by reading your question. Hi, Betsy. I'm in my mid 20s and I live in a studio apartment. I have a mix of mid century modern and traditional furniture. Some is new and some hand me down. I've read about your color ratios and style words, and I'm still having some problems. Number one, I am having a hard time finding an inspiration item that I will not get sick of. Number two, blending the different styles of furniture together. Nothing in my apartment looks cohesive and it is driving me crazy. I don't want to buy any new big ticket furniture, i.e., a couch, since I can only fit a love seat in here, and I don't want to waste money. I'm waiting to make those big purchases until I'm ready to make the step up into a house. But for now, any help is appreciated. I love your podcast and your style. Thank you. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for so much, including your premium membership. Let's start by focusing on your space. I'm going to share with the listeners sort of what's going on, what I see from my vantage point, and then we'll dig into your two questions specifically. So Lindsay sent in a picture, and with the studio, sometimes you don't need too many angles for me to understand what's going on. So from this one picture, I can clearly see that she has a very nice updated studio with black brown kitchen cabinets, like a gray kind of stone countertop, mid-tone wood floors, and light gray walls. So right now it's a very neutral setting for sort of lots of different ideas. Now, we're not sure how long she's going to be here, and she did mention that she wants to limit the investment, but there's lots of ways to infuse this space with style. And it is rather bland right now. So looking at this picture, I've described the architecture to you. Now let's get into the specifics in terms of her furnishings. Lindsay has a round table that looks like, it might be from grandma's house in the 80s, right? It has turned legs. It's probably 36 to 42 inches round. It has two chairs that do look more mid-century with the tapered legs. They have like an ivory upholstery. They look more contemporary than the table, that's for sure. Then she has a bed, could be full, could be queen, with a nightstand that again definitely harkens mid-century. Got the tapered walnut legs, looks like it has a marble top. Looks like there's two nightstands. Looks like they're probably the same, with small lamps on top of them. Now, the bed is quite simplistic in the fact that it looks like it's just a frame with a mattress on top. The bedding is kind of cascading down the side, so I can't be sure that it's frameless in terms of having anything formalized, just that metal frame. Then she's got the love seat she spoke about, which definitely harkens back to that mid-century modern. It looks like it might be a light beige or cream with the tapered legs and a nice detailing on the side, with a walnut coffee table in front. Now we've got a huge offender here with the tiny, tiny, it looks like an entryway carpet under the coffee table that is certainly giving me those magic carpet ride vibes and not doing anything to help with the size of this space. And then you've got a sofa table behind the love seat that again, is a brown tone. So there is a lot of brown. There's walnut legs on the nightstands, there's walnut legs on the dining table, there's walnut legs on the coffee table, which happens to be all walnut legs on the love seat, and then this walnut console table or sofa table behind the love seat. Now, one thing that's bothering me proportionally is that you've got a lamp on top of the sofa table that is probably 30 inches high. Now, is that a problem in a space that's larger? Maybe not. But cramped behind this love seat, it looks very large in comparison to these other almost miniature items. So I do think the scale of that is really throwing me, while the actual style of it is not. It looks like it's kind of a tapered black base, maybe even black marble, unsure, with a crisp white linen shade. Looks good. So it's not the style of the piece that's bothering me, it's the size. So that's kind of setting the stage. Now, on the walls, in terms of artwork, there's a very tiny miniature piece above the bed. And on that big long wall behind the bed, there's also a TV. But other than that, there's really nothing else going on this massive wall. Then next to that oversized lamp, you've got a couple of smaller pieces um, next to a window, which look very appropriate. They might be a little bit high if you were to measure the center of the two pieces combined, make sure that that's 60 inches from the floor to the middle of the vignette. But other than that, I think that's all that's going on from my vantage point on the walls. So now let's talk inspiration piece. It's clear that you're avoiding infusing this room with any color or pattern. You are not making choices, and that's not very mid-century modern of you. You can definitely be bringing in some fun jewel tones, which would totally be in the style. Now, guys, I know I've put a lot of emphasis on inspiration pieces. I know that I have really stressed that they're critical to the room. And the reason they're critical to the room is that they determine the room's color palette. It's not actually about the inspiration piece. It's about getting the colors that we will use for the entire room from one clear statement rather than just choosing colors we like and picking all sorts of different things. Finding that one kind of touch point that we can always go back to. That being said, if we know that the inspiration piece is all about the color palette, not really about the subject matter or even what type of piece it is, whether it's a rug, a piece of artwork, drapes, a large scale pillow, right? If we know that, then the only thing we have to fall in love with, the only thing we have to commit to is our 60-30-10 color palette. We can change out the inspiration piece as we like, as long as it contains that 60-30-10. So let's say we find a piece of stopgap art. By stopgap art, I mean a piece of art that you like, that works for now, that's maybe more in scale and larger format so that it looks proportional above this full or queen size bed. But it's not a piece that deeply resonates with you or that has sentimental memories or anything like that, right? It's right for right now. It's serving the room and that it's making this space feel more balanced with a large piece of art, and it's driving us in a color direction. But we can swap that out either when we move to our home or if we just find, say, a rug that we really enjoy. Get rid of this freaking entryway magic carpet ride for the coffee table and get a more, well, I was going to say, larger, but then I said more. So I was trying to figure out a word that would go with that. But let's just say what I want to say. Larger. Get a larger rug for that living space that truly defines the space and makes it its own area, because that's why we call it an area rug. It alone can define the size of your area. And in a studio, rugs are critical because you're trying to have this space serve many functions and there are no walls. So there's no architectural separation between one area and another. You have to make that separation visually. You can do that in many different ways by flip flopping your 60-30-10 so that the color you feature in 60% in the bedroom area is now your 30% in the living area. I mean, there's other episodes in which I've expounded on this. But for you, we're trying to keep it on that inspiration piece. And so, getting a rug that has the three colors that you've selected would allow you to flip out that art and change it for something either monochromatic or something sculptural that's maybe not a color at all, but it's a metal finish, right? So the thing we're committing to is the color palette, not the inspiration piece. Even though sometimes the inspiration piece can be costly and that could be a financial commitment, but it doesn't have to be an emotional commitment if you decide, hey, I don't like this piece of art anymore. Good thing I didn't spend very much on it. I got it at greatbigcanvasart.com and I can easily switch that out. Now, what I've said, if you've been kind of reading between the lines, is the commitment is to the color palette. But keep in mind, you're really only committing to the 60 and the 30%. Two colors out of the three. With the last color, the 10% color, I'm often changing out my 10% because it's just in tiny touches, be it a pillow, be it bookends, be it a vase. I regularly swap all those items out for a new color. And literally, I'll just put them away in a closet and then maybe bring back that color when I'm sick of the new 10% that I selected. Also, keep in mind that 10% can be any color that's found in the inspiration item. So you can really play with that and have a variety of tones because people often say, Betsy, I feel so limited by this three color palette. Don't be, really use that 10% to explore your creativity, to take some risks, but make sure that every color you're pulling in that 10% does reference back, is found in the inspiration piece, right? And when you switch the inspiration piece and it doesn't have quite so many colors, well, then you eliminate those pieces that no longer coordinate with the new piece. So I hope you guys are listening and hearing that there's flexibility in the color palette and in the inspiration piece. But you do need to maintain some guidelines, and I highly recommend that you do commit to those two major colors in order to save money and to not be swapping out so many items when you do change your mind.
And now it's time for a quick commercial break. You've asked for it, and we have answered the call. For years, you've been saying, Betsy, you're talking about all these great design concepts, but we can't visualize them. You're describing the picture that the listener sent in of their problem, and we wish we could see that picture too. After all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I do my best to describe them, but there's nothing like seeing it for yourself. And that's why Affordable Interior Design, the podcast, now has a YouTube channel. Not only do we have a YouTube channel where you could see recordings and clips of these podcast episodes, we also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and so many other exciting things. You should check it out. Head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/links. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/LINKS. Links. And when you go there, you will see links to our YouTube page, our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and more. Please check it out, follow and subscribe so you can see everything I'm talking about.
Now, let's get to your next question. Your next question was about kind of getting a more cohesive look because you're blending these different styles of furniture. Now, just to be fully clear and understanding of what the situation is, the only piece of furniture I'm seeing in here that does not have an MCM leaning is this grandma dining table. And it truly looks like it could have come from my grandma's apartment when she was 80, and that was 20 years ago. So this dining table needs to go. Now, there are many MCM inspired dining tables that are quite affordable, whether you're looking on Wayfair, whether you're looking on Lexmod. There are lots of different places to look and lots of competitive price points. And I should know because I got a faux marble oval dining table that's over 8 feet long and 4 feet wide for only $1,600 on Wayfair. That's going to be quadruple the price if you're looking at Room and Board or you're looking at Williams Sonoma. So I feel like I got quite a deal and I just love my table. Now you're going to find something much smaller than that. And for this space, I got a very similar table, mid-century modern. It was a white tulip table with a contrasting metal base. I got it on Wayfair for like under $300. This is a splurge, an investment I think you should make. Now, will you be taking a small round table to your home when you eventually purchase it? Probably not. There's not a lot of areas where I might use a table like that if I'm moving to a home, maybe like a craft area, maybe as a small conference table in an office space. So I wouldn't want you to spend a lot or consider this like a piece that's an investment in any way. But the thing it's going to be an investment in now, it's going to be an investment in the commitment to the style because this piece is throwing us way off. This piece is making it look like you have been shopping at random garage sales in Connecticut. And this piece is the offender, in my opinion. Now, if you were going to decide other places where you might want to put an investment, I've talked about that rug. You definitely need a larger rug in the living area. And I think that is a big change maker in terms of the look and overall feel of this room. Then you're definitely going to need a headboard for the bed. Now, you can find a headboard for as little as $150 on Wayfair. Certainly, you can spend more, and there's lots of beautiful options, but I wouldn't spend all that much. And it can screw right to your metal bed frame. And that will really up level this whole section. And in a studio, the bedroom area is a large fraction of the space. The other thing that I think would have such an amazing impact is a backsplash in this kitchen. Because the kitchen runs the whole length of the apartment, there is a lot of backsplash area, and it's quite conspicuous to all the other areas considering there's no walls, no alcove, nothing. Now you're saying to me, Betsy, I told you I rent this studio. I don't want to invest in tile. I don't want to install tile, and I'll probably lose my deposit. No, I'm not suggesting that you do tile. I think like a really lively contact paper back here could be super fun. I think there's a lot of mod or mid-century mod patterns that you'd be able to find in, say, a removable wallpaper or a contact paper that would give this space the color palette. I'm thinking that could even be the inspiration piece if you find something groovy enough. And then there's no commitment. You're going to peel that off when you leave. You could buy one roll and cover this entire area. And I just think it would not only provide you with the inspiration piece, provide you with really affordable visual wow, but it would also kick off sort of a commitment to this rental because right now it looks like you just moved in and just have the bare bones. And I want to see you infuse this space with some of your amazing personality, Lindsay. So there you go. You've had lots of time and attention. I've looked at every nook and cranny of this studio, and I hope you've heard some ways of turning this space into a space that you can commit to for the amount of time that you're there. Because, guys, you've been listening for a long time. You know me. You've heard my tales before, but I lived in so many studios. I mean, I can think of at least 5 studios that I lived in before I moved to a larger apartment. And the thing about a studio, everybody's always trying to make it look bigger than it is. Everybody's always trying to like divide it in some kind of way. And you just have to embrace what's happening. I think there is so much beauty in a studio because sort of your whole life is laid bare. I always think back to Eliza Doolittle and My Fair Lady. All I want is a room somewhere, far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? I used to sing that song on a loop in each one of my studios, just really embracing the coziness and the sort of simplicity that studio living can provide. But so many people are afraid of committing to their studio because they're like, oh no, this is just a phase in my life. Soon I'm going to have enough money where I can buy more than one room. Soon I'm going to be in a place where, I can have multiple experiences and I won't have to look at my refrigerator when I'm sleeping. All right, I get it, guys. But for the time when you're here, love this space and think of making this space cohesive and cozy and filled with personality because that's one of the ways you can embrace where you are right now. That's one of the ways that you can turn that studio frown upside down, really committing and embracing this one room and pouring all your decorative energy into it before you move to a space with lots of rooms where, it might even be overwhelming to design. Think about this as that really cozy, simplistic place for you to decide what you love because you're going to be surrounded by it no matter what you're doing all the hours you're in your space. All right. I hope that my experience with studios has given you some insights. Guys, do you have questions like Lindsay? Certainly, you can become a premium member, contributing to the podcast and getting whole episodes devoted to your questions. Or you can be just a normal listener sending in questions. You don't have to be a premium member to get my attention. All you have to do is go to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. You'll see a little form that you can fill out whether you're a regular listener or a premium listener, and I will be answering your question on an upcoming show. Until then, everybody, bye.
Are you a fan of this podcast? Do you wish there was even more juicy content for you to sink your ears into? Well,
There is. You can become a premium member of this podcast for $5.99 a month and get full access to an archive of over 50 bonus episodes. Additionally, we release a bonus episode every single month. That's a ton of extra content, including my personal interior design diaries, extra tips, my talking about trends, and so much more. Additionally, you'll be keeping us on the airwaves each and every week because your premium membership money goes directly back to making this podcast amazing. Check us out at affordableinteriordesign.com. Click on podcast to learn more and to become a premium member today.
A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MBCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.